Good morning, YouTube. Today, I want to show you exactly how much money I've made on YouTube this year so far.
Can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
Alright, so I've got my cell phone, I've got my YouTube analytics. So right off the bat, my channel as of this exact moment has 40,945 subscribers. So just a touch under 41,000 subscribers. I've been doing this for a little over 3 years, probably closer to 4 now. And I've been publishing videos pretty consistently, about 3 to 4 videos a week for that entire duration. I've done more, I've done less. I've experimented with doing it every day. I've experimented with doing it once a week. Once a week just doesn't cut it. I found that kind of for me and my lifestyle, 3 to 4 seems to be about the right amount. If I publish too many videos, it almost hurts my view rates because then I get, it's almost like overload. And frankly, I don't have that much to talk about. I'm trying to make exciting content that's interesting, and it's really hard to come up with stuff that much every single day. So just to kind of let you see into what it's like to be a YouTuber, I'm going to show you how much money I've made off YouTube, how many views I've gotten, and so on and so on. Well, we're just going to pull up for the last 365 days. So in the last year, right? So it's actually, today is what, December 2nd. So today's December 2nd. So to give you an idea, I've had 4.5 million views on my channel. And you can see it kind of comes in big spikes. A lot of the views came from my cop videos, which aren't my favorite. Like, I would much rather be doing other stuff rather than dealing with the police. But I think those are the videos that are just more viral in nature, and also people love drama on the internet. As soon as you have something that's drama, people are like, oh, watch that crap. Everyone wants to see the rich douchebag with the Ferrari get a ticket. So those videos seem to do pretty well. I've had some of my DIY videos do pretty well. A lot of the talking videos, like this type of videos, strangely enough, seems to do pretty well. People like when I talk about certain things, and they like to hear my opinions, and I'm sure they love to comment about disagreeing with me all over the place, so that happens as well. So in that same 1 year period, I've gained 24,675 subscribers. And again, you can see it comes in big spikes. In fact, a huge chunk of that came from 2 months ago, around September of this year. A few things happened. One, I met up with Cletus McFarland, and he gave me a shout out. And then immediately after that, I met up with James Stradman, and he also gave me a shout out. Those two incidents gave me a pretty good bump. I picked up a couple thousand subscribers from that alone. I'm gonna say probably about 3,000 subscribers. So actually my biggest thing though was my live PD video. I gained over 10,000 subscribers from that video alone. That video has what, 600,000 or 700,000 views right now. And that video alone's made me like $1,600. Actually, I'll show you that real quick. Let's take a look at that video specifically and how much money that video has made me. So that video has 683,731 views at the moment. So that translates into $1,613.75. And a good rule of thumb is basically every 1 million views is about $2,000 plus or minus for YouTubers who are doing the car stuff. So automotive YouTubers tend to make about $2,000 for every 1 million views, plus or minus, you know, a couple $100 depending on how big your channel is. All right, so based on that, you know, I've got about 4.5 million, 4 point something million views in the last year. You factor in about $2,000 per 1 million views, which means I should be doing about $9,000, which actually is a little bit off. So far in the last 365 days, I've made $11,827.52. So that is my total for about 1 year of YouTubing, growing from about 20,000 to 40,000 subscribers. A little bit less than 20,000 to a little bit over 40,000 subscribers. So you can see, yeah, it's not paying for the car. That doesn't even really pay for much of anything. In fact, this year, I've spent easily over $50,000 doing car stuff, going on road trips, going on rallies, buying parts, equipment, whatever. So if you're thinking that this is going to be your road to riches, probably not going to happen. And it's also so much time that it's more than a full-time job. So I spend, at this point, you know, this is this is my job for the moment, and I'm spending probably about 80 hours a week on average, if not 90 hours a week. So I work every single day. I film, I edit, I come up with ideas, I make business calls, I try and do sponsorships or whatever. So I'm working 7 days a week to make a whopping $11,000 some odd dollars from YouTube. Yeah, it's a pretty terrible idea. And then of course, everyone's gonna say, well, how the hell is it that I can say that this is my job when I'm only making that much money and here I'm sitting with a Ferrari? So the only reason this is all possible is I secured an investor for my YouTube business. So what does that look like and how is that possible? All right, so shortly after I got laid off last year, which has basically been almost exactly a year from now, I was reaching out to a good friend of mine who is a wealthy investor, talking to him about if he had a programming job, because as you know, I was a CTO, I was a chief technology officer, I ran software companies, I'm a programmer by trade, so that means I write software. That was my business for over 20 years. So I was looking for something to do with him, and we kind of started talking about this YouTube stuff, and next thing I know, he actually brought up the idea of investing in my YouTube business, and we kind of had different ideas of how we were going to make that work. So we came up with some terms, and I'm not going to go into the specifics of that because that's between me and him, but effectively he gave me a initial lump sum of some chunk of money, and then plus he gives me a monthly chunk of money that goes into, we formed an LLC, and that money goes into the LLC's bank account every month. So basically every month I'm getting a monthly fee from him plus the initial chunk, and then from that money I actually filed myself as an actual employee of the LLC. So I actually send myself a paycheck from the company every month. What that means is basically there's a chunk of money that I've been able to use to pay for some of these trips and some of these activities and ideas we've had, things like the influencer invasion I did, which turned out to be an absolute disaster for ROI. Finding interesting ways to spend this money and try and make the channel grow. This was in March of this year, was basically when we kicked this off. So effectively I've been an employee of my own company since March of this year. Obviously, the salary I'm paying myself is nowhere near that of what I can make doing software. Software is a pretty lucrative career. So those of you who are looking to go into software, you're going to do pretty well. It's a lot of work. It's a hard career, but it does pay pretty decently. And certainly I was doing pretty decent working in the software career. That's obviously how I've been able to afford the Ferrari. So no, YouTube did not pay for the Ferrari. My previous career in software paid for the Ferraris. As it sits today, I'm an employee of my own company. I have an investor. I have a set amount of money. I only have so long until that money runs out, so that money does schedule to run out. The payments that he gives me stop coming in 2 years from the initial start date, so not this March, but a year from March. Obviously, if I burn the money too fast, we'll run out of money before then. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's not looking too good. So the original assumptions we made about growth have not been as good as we thought. So we made some assumptions about how big the channel would get based on previous trajectories that the channel had. And the nature of YouTube is that sometimes it's going like this, and sometimes it's flat, and sometimes you're just on a tear. And unfortunately, twice this year, I've had some major lows. Right around April of this year, I'm pretty sure YouTube decided to change their algorithm or something happened, and my channel just fell flat on its face. And it seemed like no matter what I did, nothing got any sort of views, and it just was terrible. And that persisted for quite a while, and so then I took a drastic measure of hiring a Stanford student to help me with YouTube thumbnails and titles and basically go the clickbait route. And we pursued that for quite a few months, in fact actually until just last month. It did help a little bit, but ultimately I found that the amount of money I was paying this kid wasn't really turning into an ROI that paid for itself. So I'm no longer doing that, so I no longer have someone helping me do clickbait thumbnails, so probably hopefully noticed is kind of gone away. I mean, I'm trying to be back to my old self. Since it didn't really matter, I'm not sure that it's worthwhile pursuing that way. But as it sits, I need to come up with interesting ideas that get lots of views. So as you can see, there's big spikes. So I'm relying heavily on some of these big spikes. And then my suspicion is once you get to a certain size, once you get to a couple 100,000 subscribers, you can at least have like a good baseline where that baseline provides you with your bread and butter, and then you get these spikes as you have interesting things happen. And certainly once you're a bigger channel, you're more likely to get invited to things. And that's part of it, is I've been able to secure some sponsorships. So obviously, Ricambi's been a massive sponsor. They've probably been my biggest single sponsor, providing with tons of parts for the car. So I've made all these sponsorship deals, and that's part of the other side of this business is most of the sponsorship deals, when you're this size, they give you free product. They aren't sending you a check. And that's where it's hard is you got to move past that initial phase of getting stuff into the phase where you actually get a check from companies. So some of the companies do send me a check, and obviously those deals are much more interesting to me because an actual check actually helps me pay for my income. So that is much more interesting to me. Theoretically, if we continue on the current path, it looks like the channel tends to a little bit more than double every year. A year from now, I should have hopefully close to 100,000 subscribers, assuming it continues its current path. Now, obviously, if I get some big wins, then maybe it'll be a little bit more. If it continues to have some lows, then maybe it'll be a little bit less. That's kind of the trajectory it seems to be, is my channel seems to double about a little bit less than every year. 100,000 subscribers based on my current path probably isn't quite going to cover all my costs at this point either. Realistically, in order to be profitable, I probably need another 2 years of runway. So it probably needs to be 200,000 subscribers at that point based on the math and the number of views. So if the views double to 9 million views next time, and then it goes to 18 million views, multiplied by 2, so basically it'd be about $50,000 to $60,000 per year range. I could probably start to live off that. Doing these type of videos costs a lot of money. Since I've spent so much money and the ROI on a lot of these big expenses hasn't been big, I'm probably cutting back on a lot of these things. So you're probably not gonna be seeing as many road trips or rallies. They don't produce the huge ROIs. The only problem is those type of things are where I've had interactions with the police, and well, those have led to some pretty substantial returns. You know, anytime I get a police video, it makes money, which is partly why I don't run a front plate. I don't run a front plate on this car because getting a front plate ticket is totally worth it for me because I actually make money on it now. There's financially no reason for me to run a front plate. It's kind of crazy when you think about that. Pretty transparent. I like keeping you guys in the loop of what it's actually like to be a YouTuber and how it's really not this glamorous, amazing thing that everyone makes out to be. And certainly, unless you're a huge YouTuber, you aren't making any sort of big bucks. In fact, it's pretty terrible up until you get into the many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers. Well then, yeah, those guys can start making millions of dollars a year. You guys are gonna want to stay tuned. Please like, share, and subscribe. We got more car stuff coming your way. It's gonna be sweet.